Okay, so I just learned that I have a 15-minute limit on my screencast. That's okay. So where we had left off was that we were putting center lines through our hidden lines of our hole here. So we're going to pick up right from there. We have our center mark now. So now that I can see the front face of the actual geometry of this circle, which again is the same one here, I'm going to go ahead and select from my ribbon the center mark. I'm going to select the outer diameter ring, and that's going to tell me exactly where that is. Okay, so now I'm ready to dimension. So keyboard shortcut, and this is the same in the design workspace. This is, again, the drawing workspace. If I hit D on your keyboard, that gives you the dimensioning tool. And again, it's up here in your ribbon in case you want to just click on it from the ribbon. And there's a lot of stuff in the ribbon. This is only going to be an introductory tutorial on multi-view sketches. So remember, we need to sketch the height, the width, and the length. And we need to sketch all of the various different intricacies of that. One of the rules of dimensioning is that make sure that every sketch view has a dimension. Otherwise, it's really not that necessary. So we do want to make sure that every view is accurately shown here. So let's go ahead and just do the width. The width is going to be coming from the right side view. So it's going to be this view here. So I can get that again. If you look at it, I can get it from here because this line here is the same as this line here. But this line here is also still the same line as this one here. When you hold an object like this in your hand, it's a lot easier to see if you kind of take this view and then turn it upwards towards you to view the top, and then take it back down to the front view and then turn it towards you again, and really see that this is the same as this. Sometimes explaining it is not as easy as it is to visually see that. I can dimension the width here, or I can dimension it here. I have more space here, so I'm just going to do it here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this. And again, we're assuming already that this is in inches, because again, in your document settings, okay, your setting is already set for inches. Okay, so excuse me, so we can see that that's already set for inches. So we have our width done. That was actually just one measurement. Now our height and our width are going to be different. Now our front view does give us the best view for our different undulations or changes in the shape, if you will. So this is one that we're going to want to use quite a bit. Remember, you never want to dimension a hidden line or a center line. So that's something we want to make sure not do if at all possible. So we have a lot to dimension here. So let's go ahead and use what we can here. I think looking at this piece, and again, every time you dimension something, you really have to kind of stop and think about each individual piece and where the dimensionings are really going to make the most sense. So we do need a diameter for this one. So we're going to have to grab it from here because, again, we don't want to grab it from a hidden view, and that's the only other view there. This may be one where we actually have to drag it out and down, which, again, kind of goes against one of the rules. But, again, the rules are only there as a guideline to think about where is the best place to put these dimensions. So let's go ahead and dimension that first, just to kind of get it out of the way. So I have, if I hover over, and I hit dimension there if you didn't see that, and I'm hovering over the diameter of that circle, and I can zoom in a little bit if I need to. So if I hover over it, I can see that the diameter, which is the line with the slash through it, is 0.6 of an inch. So I'm going to grab it and kind of bring it out here. Again, not necessarily ideal, but in this situation, I think for now it's best. We can always move that later if we need to. So yeah, so I'm going to leave it there for right now. So that diameter, that's the diameter dimensioning view. So here, I don't want to dimension hidden lines, but I can dimension object lines if I need to. I'm going to use this for my height, right? Because then I can use this for my length. Again, I can do height here or here on my right view or my front view, and I can do length with my front view or my top view. Okay, so I'm going to do, I think kind of lining them up like this here might make the most sense. So top view, dimensions already enabled. I'm going to go ahead and select this and then select this and then bring it out. You always want to start with your highest or your longest dimensions furthest away. Remember, one of the rules is that you also don't want to over dimension an object. So by over dimensioning an object, I would dimension every single one of these steps. We have to assume that our machinist or whoever is going to be looking at this can do some simple math. So I'm going to do this one and this one as well. And I'm going to do this one and this one. I'm going to try my best to make these parallel here, just for make it look pretty. I hit escape on my keyboard, and what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to bring it in there. Come on. It doesn't have to, but if you're super, you want it to be super lined up, you can. If that bothers you, okay. If it doesn't bother you, then this is useless. That's about, looks like as close as we can get for right now. Again, I don't want to waste the time of the video here to try to get that correct. But again, see, this is 1.5, then I can assume that if this is half and this is half, well, 1.5 minus 1, this dimension here would be half an inch. Now, I do kind of want to know, however, where this dimension starts. And again, this is one of those situations where you don't necessarily want to do this, but certain situations are, make you have to break the rules a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this and this edge here and see that that's half an inch away, as well as this and this. And again, that's 0.7 away. And again, typically you don't want to right click, okay, that exits the function. Typically you don't want to do that, but in certain situations that's just kind of what you have to do, So we have our height done now, and again, I just mentioned this here so that way I know exactly where that should be. I know it's 0.6 of an inch in diameter. I know it starts 0.6 away from the left side and 0.7 away from the bottom line there. So I have my width and I have my height. So let's go ahead and do length now. Length would technically be this right here. So this measurement here. So I'm going to do it from my top view here. I'm going to reactivate my dimensioning tool, hit D on my keyboard. I need a total dimension. That's always going to be the one furthest away. Okay, and again, notice how ticka, 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 that goes right up from there. And from here, I think I'm going to do this one because it kind of gives me a reference for where this line is, right? I know that's 0.6 away, right? But this one really wasn't identified because it was not identified. So that's 1 inch. Okay, and in this case, I'm going to go ahead and pull this one down and give that 1 inch. So again, I don't have to dimension that because that tells me that 2 minus 1.5 is half an inch, right? And so right there, that piece is fully dimensioned actually, which is great because now I'm done. Now, a couple of the things I want to show you real quick is our title block. So this is called a title block here on the bottom. We're going to be creating our title block later on. But you can see some of this stuff is auto-filled for you. So depending on the project that you save your initial sketch in, and remember this was our initial sketch just to kind of bring it all back, if you will, right? It was saved in that file. The file itself was demo project. That's where I saved this. And the title, again, is automatically pulled in from the title of your document. The size of the paper is A. That's just 11 by 8.5. There's some different codes here that we will get into later. And this is sheet 1 of 2. I don't know why it's saying 1 of 2 because there's literally only one sketch on it, but it is what it is. The scale is 1:1, so that gives us how big the scale is for that. It was drawn by me on this date. Now here's where we would witness it for the approved by. That would probably be the engineering manager, and then checked by a colleague. Maybe a direct report, or maybe just a colleague, whatever. And this is where we might have an actual stamp of our business or something like that. And we'll look at how we actually design and build out our own title block later on in the future. So this would be a properly properly drawn piece. I might pull this in just a little bit for visually speaking here. And then once I save this, okay, I'm going to save it in the same demo project just for consistency speaking. Save, will be. And now what I can do with this, excuse me, is I can send this off to machinists, right? Let's say that this is a part for whatever, it really doesn't matter, right? But this is going to be made of sheet metal here or metal. I can send this off to my machinist. He or she will read everything. They'll understand everything based on what I have for the ISO view and then the dimensions of the orthographic views. And they could machine this part and they could make the tools for it, tool it based on this without me even being there or asking me any questions. So hopefully that was helpful. That's very introductory. We're going to go through how we add more of these different features up here, especially later on when we get to assemblies. But again, hopefully that was helpful. Thank you and have a good day.